Hello and welcome to DieCastRestos. It's Jason here with the 18E field car. This model was introduced in 1969 and switched to Superfast in 1970, and it had numerous variations well into the 1980s. It is not a model which is officially affiliated with any manufacturer, but it bears similarities to the International Scout, although the front grille is slightly different in my opinion. The model I have here is in pretty grubby condition. The paint's thinning and chipped, quite dirty, looks like it's been out and about outdoors. And it generally looks like it's in need of a bit of a tidy up. No replacement parts required as they're all present. There's the tyre still sitting on the back, which is a bit of a surprise to be honest. And on the base there is a lot of mud which has been collected, so I need to clean this up too. 2 rivet posts on this one. They're both very small, so I use a 4mm drill bit to drill them out. And once they've been removed, I lever them out, and the front grille, which acts as a support at the front, can be removed. Here you can see the suspension unit, which has been riveted in also to the base. During the drilling, the plastic roof has fallen out. Here is the off-white plastic interior. And here is the body shell itself. The twin rivets are quite deep, but they're very narrow, so I need to be very careful while I'm drilling the pilot holes with my 1.5mm drill bit. Next, I'll use my rotary tool to remove the wheels from the axles. And here I'm tapping the holes with my M2 screw tap. Leaving me with all of these parts I need to restore. First job is to attend to the bodywork, so some boiling water goes on and some caustic soda goes in. So the pre-Superfast models always came in yellow with the red-brown plastic roof and slightly off-white interior. Early issues had the black painted base plate, like this one, but they were later silver plated. Here's a shot post caustic soda. There's a little bit of paint residue in the crevices and the deeper sections, but all in all done a very good job again. So the remnants I'll just pick away with my dental tool. Once I'm closer to completion, I will pop my wire wheel into my rotary tool and buff up the entire vehicle. The model was commonly found with red wheels, as in the case with this one, but there is also a rare variation where green wheels were attached, which is far more valuable. It featured the press down auto steer system, a feature which it would later lose when it was switched over to Superfast. The later pre-Superfast models also had a satchel moulded onto the rear parcel shelf. This particular one obviously predates that. Once I'm happy with the results from the wire wheel, I will apply some Tamiya Fine Surface Primer in light grey. The model had numerous variations when it reached the Superfast stage. So there were a lot of colour changes and different tampos applied. Here you can see some of the finer details of the model. The fuel filler caps, the door handles, and the rear details there, the registration plate and the lights. For this model I used some Tamiya TS16 yellow. It fairly closely resembles the original paintwork, but I may have to look into other avenues when it comes to yellow in future. I tend to find with the Tamiya lighter colours, not necessarily white, but the other coloured paints need several coats of paint before it starts to solidify. It also has the nasty side effect of pooling if you're working a bit too close. Here's the base, which I'll pop into some warm soapy water to remove that dirt which has been collected around the back end. I'll dunk it in and scrub it with a toothbrush. There's quite a lot of dirt that comes off of this. I did later apply some Tamiya TS14 black to the base and to the grille, while masking off the riveted suspension unit. This was just in order to tidy up the base without having to strip it all back completely, and it came out quite nicely, I think. So here I'm just doing the tyres and the wheel hubs, and now the interior. You can see how dirty that is there, just my fingerprint on it. I'll give that a good scrub. Once the interior is done, I'll move on to the roof section. And now I'll use some Citadel oil to give the tyres a new lease of life. They were looking a bit grey and underwhelming before. Here's the base that I'd painted up. Looks quite good actually, I'm quite pleased with the effect it's had. Just a nice coat of paint over the original chips, but barely noticeable to be honest. Now I'll lift up the suspension unit to put the wheels back onto the base. And reapply to the other side. And then I can tap the axles with my hammer. Now for the reassembly, I pop in the interior part back into position, and then I slot the grille back in first of all, and then onto the rivet posts. After pressing down, I'll pop the screws back in and give them a tighten. The spare tyre goes back on, and then the roof. So there we have it. We began the video with this scruffy looking, muddy and loose looking vehicle. The tyres are starting to fall off a bit. Amazingly, all still on the model though, with all of the components complete. There is a bit of a bend in the roof, which I couldn't really fix even using a bit of hot water to mould it back into shape. Paintwork just looks so lifeless and dull. Very thin, and you can see it's been scratched away fairly significantly on the sides. So today I took this field car and turned it into a field star. Oh, that was terrible. New lick of paint for the base, so that makes that grille stand out a bit more in the bumper. And on the bodywork, after several coats like I mentioned earlier. Cleaned up wheels and the roof. The axles touched up with a chrome paint pen, and it's looking mighty fine. Quite pleased with the result with this one. In particular the wheel hubs and the tyres. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.